Okay guys, welcome again to this series on HTML basics. This is the part 4 and this part is entitled what does HTML look like. So the idea here today is to get you in touch with the real HTML. We are going to write our first HTML code and get it interpreted, and we'll get the result and see how it works and how it looks like. So without hesitating, let me dive in. So I have this folder here on which I usually train myself on various languages and frameworks. So what I'm going to do is to create a new folder here in which I'm going to organize my work purposely for this series. So I'm going to name the folder HTML basics. So yeah, HTML basics, and in here we are going to create various projects, and I advise you adopt such a habit of having folders to organize your work. That's the reason why we started by learning the file system, in order to be able to organize our work very well. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file, but before I even do that, I think we need to kind of review what we said in the previous video, which is HTML being a symbolic language, an encoded language which can be interpreted by the browsers. So what that actually meant is that you have a particular language here. For example, we did it that way the other time, and then the browser can take all this. So let me add hi here, and then output just the hi. So the browser is able to interpret the whole symbolic here and then bring back the message. So how do we actually get started with such thing? So the whole thing, all we need to do is, remember we said that we need files and folders. We need files to create our Word documents. So what I'm going to do is to create a simple file here. So you go to your folder, you create any text file, but this might be difficult for you to do, but you could use any text editor, so such as Notepad or Notepad++ or whatever text editor you can use. So maybe let me go through that first before we see the other way. So this is an empty file, so I'm just saying hi, and then I'm going to save that file as. So I need to find out where I'm going to save the file, of course. So my file is located somewhere in my development folder, which is the learning folder, and then HTML basics. So this is where I'm going to save the file. So make sure that you change the file name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name it 1, and then by default, if you don't do anything, you just save it like this. You can see that the type you are going to save is .txt. And remember, for us to have a page that is a document or a file that is considered as a web page or a web resource, it has to be saved in a particular format, just like we said with Microsoft Word and other photo formats. If you have a doc file, you will know that it is created or it can be opened by Microsoft Office Word. If you have let's say PSD, we know that it is created by Photoshop and it can be also opened by Photoshop. So what of the web resources, what can the browser open? So for the browser to be able to recognize a file as a web resources or a web resource, we need to add one particular extension, which is the HTML. It's not the only extension, but as time goes we'll see more, but this is the default you need to know for now. So we add .html in order to signal the browser that this is a web resource you can open, because the encoding we are going to make inside, you will definitely know how to interpret it and bring out the result. So I'm going to save it as 1.html. So as you can see in my folder, the file appears by using the icon of my browser. So this actually proves that Google Chrome currently can open this file and give us a result. And since we know we have only hi inside this file, we should see hi in the browser once we try to open it. Let's do that. So indeed, Google Chrome was able to open the file and read the content inside and display the hi. So this is the basics. What are we going to do now? Since we know HTML is about writing symbolics, so we need to know these symbolics and then write them and see how the browser reacts to it. So the first thing is to use that thing we have been using since the beginning, and say the hi and do this, and from there I will do save, or I will use Ctrl S to save it, go back to my browser, refresh, and something happens. So before I dive into explaining what happened and how that works and what it is we want to adjust root, let me look at the other aspect of creating the file I was trying to do at the beginning, which is going into my folder and making a right click on my mouse. When the contextual menu appears, you go to new menu and you see a text document. So you can remember with Notepad we actually created a text document, so we create a text document, but since we also displayed the extension of our files in our folder, so we can have the chance to change the extension already here. So I could do down to and then add the extension .html. So this time around I created a new file called 2.html, and then it is empty because I didn't enter any content in it, and you can see it has 0 kilobyte, while the other one has 1 kilobyte of size. So to reduce any confusion, we will ignore the two files, the 2.html for now, and just go ahead with the 1.html, which is already opened with our text editor, the Notepad here. But before I move forward, I would like to close Notepad, because Notepad is just like any other text editor. So text editors are there to help you open files and edit their content. So no matter how the text is written, it's just, you can see this text is written containing normal text and then symbolic text. So any text editor usually can open such formats of document or files. So we have, the reason I'm saying this is because to tell you that we have the choice, we have the capability. We can decide to use any text editor that is more convenient for us. And for now, I don't feel that good using Notepad right now. So what I'm going to do is to close this, and I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, which is here. So I'm going to open my file using Visual Studio Code, because Visual Studio Code is going to give me something a bit neater and cleaner. I like the colors. So I'm going to do right click, open the file with, then I'm going to choose Visual Studio Code, or I could have done that from Visual Studio Code by just using the open option here, or Control O. Alright, so here you can see that my small text are actually entered in my file. Looks a bit better compared to what we had in Notepad. So let's look at it again and see what we just did. So let me open my browser and try to refresh again and see what we got. So we have the hi, but if you could see the difference, this hi looks a bit bold compared to the first one we have. If you don't get it, let me repeat that again. So I'm removing this B stuff and refreshing the page again, and you can see it looks a bit light now. But every time I bring the B stuff, second, I think I'm messing up. Every time I bring this B stuff around, the text goes bold. So this is the proof that the browser can actually understand this particular symbolics and give a result. So if we can deduct, we can infer from here that the B symbolic actually makes a text bold. That's what it means. So basically that's how HTML works. To apply a characteristic to a text, or to show a feature, or to affect the browser's behavior, we use particular symbolics that are predetermined for that purpose, and then the browser will be able to interpret them and give out the results. So another example could be maybe hello. So this time around I'll use one symbol called H1, and then we'll see what it gives. Oh, we have a bigger text. So this allows us to have a text that is kind of big heading. But the thing is, are we just going to start writing like this? So if I want to do something bold, I do bold. If I want something I don't know, red, I do red. If I do red like this, and then say red, is it like that we do it? No, we don't do it that way. And there's a law, what we call standard. There's a way of structuring this document, structuring this code in order to comply to in order to keep everybody in harmony in the whole field, and also in order to comply to how browsers interpret this whole thing. So the first law is that we don't just write this we don't just give them the names, these symbolics, we don't just give them any name. There are predetermined things we use to give them we can use. There are predetermined ones we can use and we don't have to invent our own, although it may be somewhere, but don't even look at that. So we always have to go with what is already defined by the standard. So that's the first thing we need to know. Secondly, we don't just start like this. There's a structure we need to follow, and this structure starts like this. So first of all, you declare one of these things, and instead of me to continue to be calling it these things, let me call it by its name now. These are what we call HTML tags. So tags are like this. So HTML tags. Okay, so these are tags. Let me try to write a bit neater. Okay, so these are HTML tags. HTML tags go like opening the lesser than sign, writing the tag name. Okay, the tag name. So, and we have two different types of tags. Like you can see now, you have the one with the / before the name. So the reason why we have this is this first one is called the opening tag. So this tag opens and this one closes. So you can usually see that I start by opening a tag and then closing it. What that does is like you having curly braces or brackets. So we know that if you are using, when we are using brackets, we usually go by opening the first bracket. Okay, we open the first bracket and we always close it. If you open one inside, we close it inside before we do, and the same goes with curly braces, if I'm getting them right. So the same law goes. So tags are like this. We have the opening and then we have the closing, opening and closing. So that's how tags work. So let's continue diving. So the structure of our HTML document should always go like you starting by saying, okay, this document is an HTML document, so it will contain all these things. Okay, anything that is coming must be inside these two HTML tags. So the next thing is to have another tag called the head. Okay, and this tag is actually meant to contain some special keywords that are sending specific information to the browser which users do not see. Not always, except one of them. So inside there is one we need to specify, which is the title. and we say HTML basics 1. So this title actually is going to show up somewhere, but the rest, which we will see over time, other things that we are going to use here, we are going to place here, are not always useful to human beings but only to the browsers. So we write this title here. After the title, we go behind the head tag, we'll add another tag called body. So let me give it 2 spaces. So inside this body tag, so in between, when I'm talking of inside, what I mean is the is in between the body tag and I mean in between the opening and then the closing tag. So cancel. So anything in between is what I call inside. So body tag, and we say hi. So the hi text we use to write should be in between the body and the closing body. Now if you open our browser, we have the hi, but basically nothing changed. So that's one good thing. Even if you are not respecting the rules, the principles, HTML tends to interpret it. But there are ways of validating and making sure your document is well formatted or it follows the standard. So now we could write the exact same thing we were doing. Let's say hello. So let me say this time around welcome. And we just created our first web page. So in the next episode, we are going to take our time, explore more HTML tags and see what they do and what we can use to do what in terms of formatting our documents. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode.